and we can talk about this a little bit more later, but um, I understand statistically a lot of moms who end up being incarcerated, it's usually during their postpartum phase. It's usually when they need their village. Hello, and welcome to Unpacking Motherhood, where we talk about all things motherhood from babies to postpartum to husbands, partners, and everything in between. The whole idea for today is to normalize the feelings that you may be having, particularly in your postpartum phase. I think that postpartum can many times be for some people like a silent killer. And it's a slow death sometimes. It feels like a slow death. Sometimes I feel like I'm boiling. So we're gonna jump in. So if you have a moment, get you some tea, some coffee, whatever you need to just kind of relax and let's kick back and talk for a second. Let's talk for a second about it. And um, today we just kind of wanted to talk about how society feels like we don't need more help. Moms don't need more help. You got it together, especially if you are a multi-mom, like you have more than one child. And it's like, oh, you had your one, you should be good.
You know what you're doing.
You know what you're
You
doing.
got it. You got it,
this in
right?
the bag.
You know, you don't need another baby shower, or you don't need another, onesie. You don't need any help.
You didn't keep anything from last time?
Right. So I mean, it's such a fallacy, and I feel like I said, it's a silent killer sometimes. I feel like and we can talk about this a little bit more later, but I understand statistically a lot of moms who end up being incarcerated, it's usually during their postpartum phase. It's usually when they need their village. And a lot of the things like psychosis, to outbursts, we think, oh, that mom is crazy, or how could she do that to her kids, or da 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 da. And it's like, pretty sure there were signs there. And so,
And we all miss them.
yep, we missed them. So, what are some ways that moms do need help? Let's kind of end that stigma. First of all, we need help. We need help, especially after early postpartum. We need help because the thought is that we don't need help. You got it. You got it. After a week or two, like you should be good, right? Baby sleeping.
And when we say early postpartum, we're talking about those first 6 weeks because postpartum truly does last forever.
Yeah.
So the incarceration thing, they're usually in like their first year or 2 or 3 of postpartum. How you are taking care of those first 41 days can affect you the rest of your life.
Yes.
And I think people be playing around with that and they really don't understand the sacredness of pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And as a birth worker and as a mom of multiples, I look at the media completely different when stories come out. If a child was unalived by her mother and the child is 4 years old, 3 years old and under, I'm like, postpartum psychosis.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then they go to prison and they serve these sentences and they're still not getting the help they need.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, yeah, they were wrong, but they should still get some sort of help.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they were trying to cry out for help, but quietly, because in our community, I don't even like to use the term culture because let's be completely honest, we don't have one.
Yeah. Not here, not in America.
We do not have a culture. And I am so sick of people throwing that word around, but here we are. In our community, we don't talk about or prepare for the marriage. We don't prepare for the postpartum period. We are preparing to get back to work and get things going again. That's kind of like a privilege to just sit and rest in postpartum when that's something that we did before we were brought here involved. We were brought here without our permission. Number one, okay, so everything was taken away from us. Our customs and our culture was stripped from us, and at that time, and we had to immediately get back to work. and take care of other people and not even ourselves. And I feel
Right.
like that still translates into today.
Yeah.
You take care of
And
others, yeah.
no, because nobody has talked about postpartum for generations. Because
Definitely
it's about
traumatic.
how you could get back to work and how your child could be more self-sufficient quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing: we don't need more help,
Mm.
but we do. We see it on social media.
Exactly.
Okay. We see the moms wanting to know when their baby's going to sleep through the night and they just got home from the hospital. Have you even picked up a book or researched or talked to someone that actually told you the truth about how their baby's sleeping?
Right.
Because most of the time when moms are bragging about how well things are going, it's usually not going that well.
Yeah.
Because they need an outlet.
Yeah.
They need some sort of attention and they have no idea how to get it. They have no idea to ask for what they need because that's not encouraged and that's not ever modeled properly. Because we don't prepare for postpartum. Everything's supposed to be fine,
Yes.
you know. And I just feel like in our community, we see that a whole lot more. The postpartum psychosis, we see that a whole
Yeah.
lot more. Anyone that tries to harm themselves or their children and their child is young,
It gets undetected.
I automatically think that's what it is.
That goes back to the medical bias. Like, we don't even, and this is not like my area of expertise, but it is something that I'm very aware of, just from like, personal family. There's a lot of bias that exists in the medical field across the board, especially when it comes to mental health. And there was a TikTok where one lady had a coworker and she was the only person of color in amongst her group of therapists. She was a part of a therapist group. She worked with this company. And long story short, um, she and the other person of color were the only two that were there. And she was the more social one. And so whenever they would go out to, group events, they would always say, "Oh, you're not like such and such. You're not like the other person. You're happy. You're da 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 da. You're this and the third." And she was like, "I mean, did you not think that she was of this kind of label of personality according to this trait and chart? According to what we know in terms of behavior, she's just this." And they're like, "Well, no, she's just mean. Like, no, she's just mean." And she was like, "Well, the other non-person of color, she never comes to any of the events either, and she could be seen as standoffish." And they're like, "Oh no, she just has." They gave her a label, but the person of color was just a mean girl.
Yeah.
And she was like, they're literally like the same, except one person has melanin and the other person does not. Yet you are more willing to be empathetic and understanding of the non-melanated person. But the other girl was just mean. And so it's hard for us to even admit when we have an issue, like if we are having a psychological breakdown, because we know we're automatically going to be seen as the angry Black woman.
Yes.
And then there's a stigma of your children being taken away from you.
Yes,
You don't want that to
we're
happen.
afraid of our kids being taken away from us. So it's like, what do we do? It's catch-22. Like, we're we literally don't have the support that we need when it comes to mental health. And even when you do have the one or two that may understand, society at large does not support that.
No.
Which is why we see different behaviors of acting out, and it's a cry for help. And we know about it. Like, we know it.
It makes it hard too for you to even just state your own needs in your own home, like within your four walls, because we're always like, not us, we show up, but in our community, we're always like, call me if you need me.
Yeah.
You don't mean that.
Yeah.
You really don't mean it. I had a family member who told me that, and I was struggling one day. Chris was at work, my mom was working, and I called her and I was like, can I cash in that? And she sat with me, but she was angry the whole time that she was there. Like, I inconvenienced her. It was just problematic. And I just wanted a nap. I couldn't even go to sleep because the tension was so thick in my apartment.
Right.
And I was like, I'll never call her again. And that's when I learned people really don't mean it when they say stuff like that. Like, when you're called upon, it's a problem. But when you everybody needs help, but we're not supposed to ask for it. We're not supposed to ask for it. And it's terrible. And I think that also plays into how we don't know how to show up for each other. And that's systematic too.
And that's before even,
because it's like, I got through this
Yeah.
You gonna be all
You're
right.
gonna be
You
okay.
made your bed, you lay in it.
Exactly.
You had this baby, you take care of
And
it.
we have a lot of women even before pregnancy functioning in high functional depression.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And anxiety.
And anxiety, and so they don't know any difference, and then you get pregnant because we haven't dealt with those issues,
Mm-hmm.
and it brings on a whole nother turmoil for you. So this is a load when it
Yeah.
comes down to the whole. It's a load, and so it's like you truly have to deal with yourself, like, and families, even like mothers, your grandmothers, like, we need y'all.
Mm-hmm.
We need that community. We need to know your stories. Like, stop hiding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they don't like to talk about their bodies.
Yes.
They don't like to talk about their bodies a lot.
Right.
Like, I think I mentioned this. I don't think I mentioned this in the early training, since y'all trained with me earlier in my doula trainings. But every now and then the topic comes up of pleasure.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of
We
our
talked about it.
grandmothers have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they just lay down and did what they were supposed to do
And
Yeah.
quietly
that.
and was waiting for it to be over. It was more like a
Quietly.
chore. It wasn't like pleasure. So it's like the body's taboo, period.
Yes.
Which is why I started the whole period party thing,
Mm-hmm.
because that type of stuff gets passed down. Your mom might get a little bit more information and she might give you a little bit more than she got, which wasn't
Right.
much,
Yeah.
but there's still a huge gap.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of things that we don't talk about, we don't feel comfortable talking about, and it wasn't modeled for us, so we don't know what to do. So
And it's put in a closet. You literally are put in a closet.
And it just goes into, oh, she's fine, she doesn't need any more help. So that's why I asked moms in early postpartum, how you feeling and healing?
Right.
And give me an honest answer.
So, how do you feel about either of you guys? I know you're about to give, birth and have another person entering into your home. With that load and that weight being there, feeling like you can't ask people for help. How do you create space in that? Because if you have more than one, two, even if you just got one, but if you got 2, 3, 4, 5, you need help at some point. How do you create space for help, even if you're not getting it from immediate family or your partner? Sometimes it's not having it from your partner. Sometimes it's not just enough. Sometimes you need support outside of that. How do you create space for that in your life?
You do. You literally have to create that village for yourself. Like, first recognizing that there's a problem, there is an issue, and you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. For me, for myself, even now with pregnancy, like, I still have postpartum symptoms. Like, I just had a child last year, so I'm still I'm in in both realms right now. Yeah, and so it's like, yeah, you can lie and fake it, but it's gonna catch up. It's gonna catch up, and I would rather catch it now than wait and it be totally out of control.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I'm not lying. Y'all text me, how you doing today? I'm not doing good.
Right.
I'm tired. I might need this. I don't even know what I need right now.
Yeah.
And my husband, he does a great job with just doing.
Yeah.
Coming home after work and just doing. If the kids haven't ate, he's feeding. If dishes need to be cleaned, he's cleaning. So I'm very thankful for that, because I don't have a lot of family locally. So outside of his side, so it definitely helps with that. But creating that village, reaching out. If you need therapists, listen. If you need a therapist, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay, because they truly help you understand some things that's going on mentally that you might have not even come to terms with. So that's for me. That's definitely some of my ways, especially moving from 2023 to 2024.
Yeah. One of the things that I've heard people say is, "Oh, I don't want anybody in my house," and I get it. So finding the people that you trust, one, but two, I've also heard moms say this, like, "Oh, well, they don't clean like how I clean, or they don't fold the clothes like how I fold." Sometimes you just need to get through, let go control.
That control.
Get through the season, and then when you can revisit.
The fact that you are even privileged enough to say that.
Yeah.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah. Do fold, hang it up, put it. You create the system. We good. Whatever system you see
whatever
that needs
works
to
for you, because you're helping me.
Yeah. Thank you for helping me. I just appreciate the help. So for moms, it's relinquishing that control, which is another issue. And
if
then
that's
also,
an issue. Some people just don't have the support.
Yeah.
They're afraid to talk about it. They're
Yeah.
afraid to say what they need. what I've seen a lot is that moms assume because they have all these friends, right, and they have all this family,
Yeah.
that they're just going to figure out how to step in.
Nope.
And they don't, and then they're reaching out to me. It's like, how did you do this? How did you do that? I had the uncomfortable conversations, and I stated what I needed.
Yeah.
Every pregnancy, I did that. After my first, I did that every time. I sat Chris down. I was like, look, this is how things need to change. I need you to do more of this and keep this in your pocket. Don't put it back in mine when I seem to have been feeling better.
Yeah.
Last two babies, we didn't hire a birth doula. We put that money into a postpartum doula. I also knew that I was having my baby at the beginning of a school year, my third. So I went ahead, soon as I found out I was pregnant, I called Mrs. Barton and hired her to help us with Ava for that school year, because I knew that I probably wouldn't have the capacity to properly help her with third grade at the time. I just set up everything ahead of time, budgeted properly, made sure I had the funds to do what I needed to do. I shared what I needed with my close friends and family, and just restructured stuff. You can't assume because you have so many people in your life that they're going to show up for you properly. They're going to give you a cute outfit for your baby, and they're going to want to call your baby their niece or nephew. But and that also doesn't make them a bad person. They could genuinely just not know how to show up. But if you have these conversations and you tell people, like I had a young lady reach out to me, and she was just like, I'm drowning. I don't even think she had her baby yet. And I don't know what to do. I said, you need to sit your family down. She was like, well, I feel like they'll show up for me because, okay. Well, I already told you what to do.
Yeah. You asked me a
And guess
question.
what?
You had the answer. Okay, cool.
Guess what?
Okay. That's it.
They did not show up the way that she hoped.
Of course not.
You cannot assume that of people, period, but especially in our community.
Assumptions will make it ASS out of you.
Yes, it will.
Quickly.
You can't assume.
Quickly.
You cannot assume.
Yes, it will. And I also think that people throw virtual Hail Marys, putting out how they're feeling and hoping somebody will come and rescue them on Facebook. It also depends on the type of people you have in your life. Just ask people for help.
Period.
I know it's hard, but sometimes you just have to ask for help. When they tell us that we don't need more help, that's a lie. You know it's a lie. You're swimming in that. You know it's a lie. You need to swallow the frog, have that uncomfortable conversation with your partner and your immediate family.
Yes.
And set things up properly, because again, how you are taking care of those first 41 days can truly affect you the rest of your life. We see it in the news every day. Every day. I know y'all don't think about it like that when y'all see these women out here harming people and harming themselves, like the Kroger parking lot incident where she looked at her boyfriend's phone. Baby was in the van and saw that her boyfriend was messing with her sister. She waited for him to come out the grocery store, hit him with her van, but also killed the old man walking across the street. Unalived the old man walking across the street in the process. She was so out of it, she got out of the van and beat up on her boyfriend some more. When me and Chris watched that, we said, postpartum psychosis.
Yep.
Yes. Wow.
And that's how you start processing things differently. Yeah. And if only our systems would view it that way. Right. They don't. Not even, and honestly, they don't even matter what color the mother is. One might get a slap on the wrist versus a very harsh punishment, but nobody's thinking about it in that element. Yeah. You just have to swallow the frog, as I say a lot, and have the uncomfortable conversation. Even if you don't think you're going to need anything, be ready. Be ready, especially if you're a mom of multiples.
Yes.
You have to prepare as much as possible. Yeah. You have to set that money aside if that means hiring a postpartum doula, or paying someone. I have the question, like, do you have anybody that has a lot of flexibility in your life that you don't mind spending a lot of time with? Oh, well, my best friend works from home and she's super flexible. Well, go ahead and have a conversation with her and see if you can have her Wednesdays. Can she work at your house on Wednesdays? Yeah. I didn't think about that. Sometimes they don't even think.
Yeah.
About
so
that.
Those are ways that we can kind of employ help from our village. It's important that we ask. Closed mouth does not get fed. So we hope that you got some good tips. That was really good conversation from, if you have a partner, we don't always want to ask for help, but it's good to ask for help, but also it's good to feel seen too. And, we could talk about that another time, but we hope that you guys got something. We hope that you feel seen by us. And in the meantime, We hope that you guys have an amazing day. Like and subscribe. And until next time, we will be unpacking motherhood some more with you.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you.